In this video, I'm going to explain what the role of a product manager is in 5 levels of increasing complexity, starting with the most basic explanation and then getting more detailed as we go. Now, in preparation for this video, I consulted with a number of experts, including the founder of a VC-backed startup, a product manager at an SF-based tech company, and an active recruiter who's hiring for product roles. I also have a decade of product management experience myself and have been studying the industry wisdom around becoming a pro PM as I coach and mentor PMs in the industry. Alright, so at the most basic level, a product manager or a PM is the person who is responsible for choosing the right problems to solve, defining what success looks like, and working with the teams to execute towards those goals. So choosing the right problems to solve comes from market and customer research. Defining what success looks like involves working with customers and product designers to find a feasible solution. And executing towards those goals involves working with the engineering team to make sure things are shipped to spec and in the time that is needed. Okay, so in reality, it's probably not good enough to just choose problems based on market and customer research. For example, there may be competing feature requests from the sales team to close a deal, from customers who are asking for more pro features, and from engineering who wants to fix some bugs and tech debt that are slowing down the current systems and making them hard to maintain. So instead of just saying choose problems, we can say prioritize problems. Of all the problems to be solved, PMs must work with the stakeholders to figure out the impact and effort for each problem, and then figuring out a prioritized roadmap based broadly on the impact to effort ratio for each problem to be solved. This prioritized roadmap will be used in 2 ways. First, stakeholders will have clarity on the cohesive strategy that the product team is working towards. So marketing can build campaigns, sales can inform customers of the vision, and designers can plan the evolution of the user experience. Second, engineering can plan resources and sprints. In tech companies, engineering is not done by single engineers, but by engineering teams. What this means is that engineering managers need to know what's coming in the pipeline so they can plan resources and allocation of sprints accordingly. They need some time to figure out what to put in each sprint, and the roadmap is the one tool that will help them figure out the sprints for the quarter and for the future. Outcomes and not output. Product managers are responsible for the outcomes and not the output of their team. This means that product managers are responsible for positive customer impact regardless of the features or tasks required to get there. This is different from other roles at a tech company. For example, engineering is mostly judged on the complexity and quantity of code that is shipped. They don't own if the code actually brings in more revenue for the company or not. Similarly, the support team is responsible for the number of tickets that are closed in time and the quality of satisfaction of those tickets themselves. But they are not responsible for the overall customer satisfaction or market share that the company has for its products. Product managers, however, are not judged based on the number of features shipped or the number of tickets raised. Instead, product managers are judged based on the final business impact that their features are bringing in. So there's no single operating process that PMs can just work against. They must adapt and figure out what's needed to increase adoption and customer satisfaction to help the business push forward and achieve its goals. Product managers don't have any of these teams reporting to them, so they must actually influence the teams about everything that we've talked about so far. And what this means is that communication, interpersonal skills, and coordination are very important skills for a product manager. So it's a common situation that PMs' calendars are just filled up with meetings. PMs just can't send out an email dictating to all the teams what needs to be done. Instead, product managers must work with different groups of stakeholders to build consensus around the product vision and roadmap. Without this counterforce to PM's roles, a lot of their biases would come into the roadmap itself. So this is actually by design that nobody reports up to PMs and they must influence and make impact based on consensus rather than dictating features and the roadmap from the top down. Diversity of thought is really built into the job description. And this is probably the hardest part for early product managers to get right, because it isn't just something that they can pull an all-nighter or spend a bunch of time on themselves to get right and figure out. Instead, they must painstakingly lay the groundwork with multiple stakeholders, make sure everyone is on board and there is consensus built, and have the relationships built across the organization to make the impact that's needed. The tools that I use for stakeholder management are one-on-one meetings, roadmap reviews, customer feedback sessions, one-pager product reviews, to name a few. A product manager can only be successful once their stakeholders are bought into their vision and roadmap. Only once a product manager has proven themselves to their stakeholders will the skills of building and shipping successful products become second nature to them. A lot of what we focused on so far has been the execution side of the product manager role. But since product managers don't build or maintain the product themselves, what do they actually do? The answer to that lies in studying Steve Jobs.
You can't write code. You're not an engineer. You're not a designer. You can't put a hammer to a nail. I built the circuit board. The graphical interface was stolen from Xerox PARC. Jeff Raskin was the leader of the Mac team before you threw him off his own project. Everything, someone else designed the box. So how come 10 times in a day, I read Steve Jobs as a genius? What do you do? I play the orchestra.
He served as the product manager behind the iPod and the iPhone. So what was his role in the success of these products? Steve built the vision. He studied the market, figured out what was needed, what's important, why a product needs to be built, and how it's going to make the world a better place. This is the core role that a product manager plays, defining and evangelizing the product vision. A good analogy from the film world is the movie producer. The producer oversees the entire film, from selecting a script, coordinating writing, directing, editing, and financing, to even overseeing the marketing and distribution of the film after its release. While the producer oversees the entire film, they don't work on any of the individual parts, which are handled by skilled experts. But the overall impact of the film is the responsibility of the producer. It's their vision and hard work that results in a great film, or the lack of that results in a bad film. If all of this sounds good to you, you'll have to start by building a great PM resume to land interviews. Unfortunately, most PM interviews fall prey to a common set of problems, and I cover all of them in this video that'll help you avoid these problems and build a killer PM resume that'll help you land 10x more interviews and get the dream PM role that you always wanted.